Cybersecurity professionals are watching in horror as another massive wave of attacks unfolds. And this time, it's hitting one of the most trusted names in network security. SonicWall customers are scrambling to protect their networks as hackers exploit what appears to be a brand new, previously unknown vulnerability in their Gen 7 firewalls. But here's where it gets really concerning. This isn't just another typical cyber attack. We're talking about a sophisticated campaign that's been running since mid-July. And the attackers are moving with lightning speed that has security experts genuinely worried. What makes this situation particularly alarming is the urgent advisory SonicWall issued to their customers. Immediately shut down the encryption services on your Gen 7 firewalls. Think about that for a moment. A security company is essentially telling customers to disable a core security feature because they can't guarantee it won't be used against them. The company acknowledged in their official warning that attack activity has surged dramatically since last Friday, painting a picture of cybercriminals working around the clock to exploit this weakness. Multiple cybersecurity firms, including heavy hitters like Arctic Wolf, Google's security team, and Huntress, have been tracking this disturbing trend. Their research reveals that ransomware attacks leveraging this suspected zero-day vulnerability began as early as July 15th, targeting the Secure Sockets Layer, SSL, Virtual Private Network, VPN protocol. For those unfamiliar with technical jargon, SSLVPN is essentially the secure tunnel that allows employees to safely connect to their company's network from remote locations. Think of it as a heavily guarded digital highway. Charles Carmichael, who serves as Chief Technology Officer at Mandiant Consulting, didn't mince words when he described the situation on LinkedIn this Tuesday. He pointed to a financially driven threat actor that's actively breaching victim networks and deploying the notorious Akira ransomware. What's particularly chilling about his assessment? The speed and scale of the compromises suggests a potential zero-day vulnerability in SonicWall Gen 7 firewalls. When seasoned cybersecurity veterans use words like speed and scale in the same sentence as zero-day, you know the situation is serious. And this is the part most people miss. Even organizations that implemented multi-factor authentication, which is considered one of the strongest security measures available, are falling victim to these attacks. This revelation should send shivers down the spine of any IT administrator who thought they had adequately protected their network. SonicWall's response has been notably cautious, with the company stating that their ongoing investigation hasn't yet determined whether attackers are exploiting a previously known vulnerability or a completely new zero-day flaw. Brett Fitzgerald, Senior Director of Global Communications at SonicWall, promised that if investigators confirm a new vulnerability, the company will release updated firmware and guidance as rapidly as possible. But here's the uncomfortable truth. While SonicWall investigates, businesses remain exposed to ongoing attacks. The attack methodology revealed by Huntress researchers is genuinely terrifying in its efficiency. Cybercriminals aren't wasting time once they gain initial access. They're pivoting directly to domain controllers, the nerve center of corporate networks, within mere hours and deploying ransomware after remarkably short dwell times. Since July 25th, Huntress has documented approximately 20 separate attacks, occurring in what they describe as almost daily bursts. This suggests either a highly coordinated campaign or multiple threat groups capitalizing on the same vulnerability. The post-compromise techniques these attackers employ represent a sophisticated blend of automated scripting and manual hands-on activities. They're systematically abusing privileged accounts to gain administrative access, planting backdoor implants for persistent access, moving laterally through networks to harvest credentials from multiple databases, and methodically disabling security tools and firewalls. It's like watching professional burglars who know exactly which alarms to disable and which safes to crack. But here's where it gets controversial. This latest crisis highlights a troubling pattern that SonicWall customers have been forced to endure for years. The company has earned the dubious distinction of having 14 separate entries on the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency's known exploited vulnerabilities catalog since late 2021. That's not a typo. 14 separate security flaws that cybercriminals have actively weaponized. What makes this track record even more damning is the recurring nature of SSLVPN vulnerabilities. The current attacks are targeting next-generation firewalls, representing an evolution from last month's financially motivated attacks against organizations using fully patched but outdated SonicWall Secure Mobile Access 100 series appliances. Remarkably, half of the exploited vulnerabilities listed in CISA's catalog specifically affect SonicWall SMA 100 appliances, including 3 out of 4 security flaws actively exploited this year alone. The fact that SonicWall had to recommend disabling SSL VPN functionality on Gen 7 firewalls represents a fundamental admission of failure. When a security vendor tells customers they cannot trust a critical service to perform its primary function, enabling secure remote access to corporate networks, it raises serious questions about product development and testing processes. Many organizations depend entirely on VPN technology to enable remote work, making this recommendation particularly problematic for businesses trying to maintain operations. SonicWall's SSL VPN service has been the root cause behind at least 3 actively exploited vulnerabilities catalogued by CISA, including CVE 2024-53704, CVE 2023-44221, and CVE 2021-2016. This pattern suggests systemic issues with how the company approaches security in this particular component. The human cost of these attacks extends far beyond technical inconvenience. The Akira ransomware strain, which appears to be the weapon of choice in these current attacks, has already devastated more than 250 organizations and extracted approximately $42 million in extortion payments between March 2023 and January 2024, according to CISA's analysis. The group's operators follow a particularly cruel playbook. They steal sensitive data, encrypt critical systems, and then threaten to publish the stolen information publicly if ransom demands aren't met. Some Akira affiliates have escalated their psychological pressure tactics by directly calling victimized companies, adding personal intimidation to an already traumatic situation. As investigators continue working to identify the root cause of these attacks and track down those responsible, the cybersecurity community faces uncomfortable questions about vendor accountability and customer protection. This situation forces us to confront some hard truths about cybersecurity vendor responsibility. Should companies like SonicWall face stronger regulatory oversight given their repeated security failures? Are customers getting adequate protection for their investment in enterprise security solutions? And perhaps most controversially, at what point should organizations consider abandoning vendors with such troubling security track records, even if it means significant infrastructure changes? What's your take on this situation? Do you think SonicWall's customers should stick with the company despite this pattern of vulnerabilities? Or is it time to seriously consider alternative security solutions? Have you experienced similar issues with other cybersecurity vendors? And how did your organization handle the transition? Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. This is exactly the kind of real-world scenario where the cybersecurity community needs to have honest, sometimes uncomfortable conversations about vendor accountability and customer protection.